Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of Blake the Manager. I'm Blake. My podcast will be sharing tips on how to succeed in the music business. I have always been the person behind the camera, behind the face of artists who have been super successful, but some of them didn't always start out that way. They wanted fame and I just never have. I grew up around it and have seen how quickly it can change a person, how corrupt they can become. That being said, I have just wanted others to succeed because when they succeed, I do too. What exactly is artist management anyway? Well, there are many definitions that center around the same idea. My definition is that artist management is like running a daycare, babysitting rock stars young and old, all day, every day. Solving problems quickly has to be second nature to you. Being available 24/7 is the first requirement. I have known other managers who have families, spouses, and partners. You have to put your artist in front of your needs and your family's needs sometimes. You can be successful and have a family, but you need to be clear about this to both parties. Communication is key. If you aren't a person who wants to be needed all the time, this may not be the job for you. I've been in the music industry for quite a while and grew up in the music business. Yes, I am under 30, but hear me out. Listen a little bit more. The music industry is super small. It's kind of like where everyone is part of the same group chat, pretty much. You say something and then everyone will know about it very quickly. So always be kind to everyone you meet. You never know who they are connected to, or who they will be someday. As a manager, I always tell people that I'm always available, even when I'm not, because no one can be available 24/7, but hey, they don't need to know about that. I respond to emails before people even send them. Think about that for a minute. The reason why I respond to emails so quickly, you can capture people in the moment. They can't say that they are away from the desk or didn't see it. We know that they saw it. If an email has a topic that takes longer to respond to the question, I respond anyway and say, I'll get back to you on that, or thanks for sending, let me review this. This way it impresses them you are available for them immediately, and that builds trust over time. And as time goes on, you can start to ease your email responses, but still, remember to respond quickly. As an artist manager, you wear so many hats, and you often lose count, and you learn a lot along the way as well. Do you need to go to school for this? No, but I do recommend taking a few courses or reading a few books on artist management and the music industry in general. You need to know a little bit about everything to be a manager, and you have to like helping people before they make it big. That will mean more in the long run, and you'll be more genuine. Due to COVID, it is harder to network, but you can still build everything remotely online, so when the time comes, you will be ready to tour with your artist, talk to record labels, and talk to people who can make you and your artist successful. Most managers take anywhere from 15 to 20%. 15% is the standard. This is anything that you are personally involved in. Shows, record deals, licensing of songs that were created by connections you made. I never take from publishing, as I did not write the songs. I wasn't there. I'm not entitled to it. I am a bit old school, and I do everything on handshake, but I do have an LLC to protect myself, which doesn't cost much to set up, about $600. It protects you as an individual from getting sued and losing everything. Once you start making money, more than, $500 to $1,000, register for an LLC. It can be done online in an hour, and trust me, you will thank me and yourself one day. There is a tax fee, $800 a year, but trust me, it is worth it, and you don't want to lose everything. Just have your company lose everything. At least you still have your own assets. But I do have contracts for record deal shows, and what I previously mentioned, my name needs to be down on paper, so I have a record of getting paid and who owes me money. I manage a few artists who have already made it in the music industry, and my challenge is keeping them current in the music industry and collaborating with younger and more successful artists. Remember, they were all the Justin Biebers and Ed Sheerans of their day. Now, they're a little bit older, but hey, they still have hits. Hits are hits forever. The best way to get experience as an artist manager is be hands-on, find a mentor, find an internship, or really just research your favorite band and see what they're doing. Before I take an artist on, I am super picky with who is on my roster, and I often lock myself in my guest room and listen to their entire catalog from start to finish, no interruptions. This way, I get a real understanding of who they are. Also, I research them, so I know almost everything about them before I sign them, so no surprises. I like having nice and kind artists on my roster. Why? Well, because usually the people they associate with are kind as well and less likely to get into trouble. It's not worth it to deal with an artist who has major problems, since their problems will become your problems. You do not want anyone suing you for something your artist did, since you are responsible for them. trust me on this, okay? Do not go down the rabbit hole with an artist who already has problems. If you're representing an artist who had troubles 20, 30, 40 years ago and hasn't had any problems since, that's totally okay. But remember, whatever your artist does is a reflection of you. Now, here's a classic story in the industry, okay? There was a rock concert, really, really big band that's actually happened. I'm not going to mention the band. And the drummer was known to, have an anger issue. And basically, during one of the shows, he was doing a solo, and he just threw his drumstick out into the crowd. And it hit somebody in the nose and broke their nose. And you know what that guy did? The broken nose? Let's see. Well, he sued the promoter, the artist manager, the band, the venue, the owners of the venue, and, wait for this, the company that make the drumsticks that hit him in the nose. And he won. Everyone knew that this guy had an anger problem. He had done it multiple times before, and it really ruined their life. And technically, the band never toured again. They were sued for millions and millions of dollars because the drummer had an anger issue. So, make sure you deal with nice and kind people. I'm doing this podcast because I really want to help others decide if they want to get into the music industry, and also what to do and what not to do, along with talk about what's going on in the industry right now with COVID. And I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I have a bachelor's and master's degree in music business. I run a successful artist management company where we also do social media, websites, consulting, record label, publishing, licensing, pretty much everything an artist needs to get started, a one-stop shop. We connect our artists with the best record labels, PR companies, and so much more. It might sound cool, but honestly, it's a lot of work, and it's an ever-growing battle to climb the hill to the very top of the industry. Most women in the industry have had a tough time, and I'm fortunate to not have as much of a hard time, as my family is still in the industry, and they know that if they mess with me, they may go missing. Just kidding. You get the idea. Anyways, I was not handed anything in this business. My father, who was a very successful music business manager, said he wasn't going to help me at all, and he really still hasn't. He does help out with the financial side for my artists, as they are horrible at budgeting and financing, and then he sends me a bill every month. My mission has always been for my company for the artist to be the artist, and pretty much we handle the rest. All we want them to do is sing and write songs, and that's really how it should be. I actually got into this industry in a really strange way. I was a tour photographer, and I still am a tour photographer for many major artists on tour, and I was invited to see a show for someone who I had no idea who he was by a friend, and I did not want to go down there. It was like an hour and a half away, and I was like, I don't want to be here. So I go all the way down there. I took my camera, took a few pictures here and there, and I put a filter on it, posted it on Facebook, and the artist, who actually has a number of Grammys and an Oscar, surprisingly, contacted me, and it was strange because I know it's so hard to get to the artist personally. And at the show, it was like half full. It was weird, and he got on the mic halfway through, and he's like, "No one buys CDs anymore." I felt so bad for him, and I went back and bought all the CDs. Yes, I still have that receipt. Yes, I did make him sign them all. But why? Because I wanted to talk to him, because he really was a nice guy, and he still is. And he's the number one client on my roster, amazingly enough. And he wanted to meet me after he saw that photo. I said, I don't know. So I kind of just, I called a few friends in the industry, and I said, will this guy touch me? And they're like, no, he's cool. Don't worry. He's a nice guy. Drove like 3 hours to meet him because he lived a little further away than I thought. And it's been about 4 years now. And he has introduced me to so many people who are just like him, who need help. He needed help with social media. He needed help with management. He needed help with publishing. This guy who sold over 10 million records. I was so confused. But now he invited me to meet all of his friends who are more famous than him, and it kind of just spiraled from there. So I talk at NAMM every year. Well, not this year. Polestar, ASCAP. And I talk a lot at these events, and I always tell this story, and it's like, it happened because of a photograph from me. You will find someone who will be your champion to help you. I mean, one photograph, and here I am. It's pretty crazy. It's just crazy, But also I want to tell you what a day in the life is with artist management and tour management. I typically tour with all of my artists on my roster. Why? Well, tour managers are few and far between, and expensive, and crazy. Also, one of my favorite things to do, get to see the country, get to see other countries. Right now we can't, but also I am allowed to bring my dog, which is super cool. I tour, like I said, with almost all my artists except a few. I'll explain that in another episode. Anyways, one of my artists, let's call him John. He's been in the industry for 40 years, 45 years, numerous hit songs. The biggest names in the industry have covered his music, Grammys, Oscars, and just one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet on the planet. However, he is 12 years old inside. Why? Well, let me explain. So, typically, when we tour, if the budget permits, and make sure the budget is permitting, typically we bring interns on tour along with the crew to help with band members setting up the stage. You get the gist. Anyway, we brought this intern on tour. Let's call her Jenna. And I said, Jenna, watch John. Make sure he doesn't escape. Make sure he just stays in his room and does his warm-ups and whatever. Okay, cool. I leave, go talk to the promoter, and I come back about 15 minutes later, and this venue was in Texas. It's about a 5,000-seater venue. It was a nice venue, but it was smaller than what we typically do. I go back in there. I said, Jenna, where's John? Don't know. I said, how don't you know? Well, he has to use the bathroom. And I said, you know there's a bathroom right behind you, right? Oh, okay. She lasted one day. And so now I have the task, 30 minutes, by the way, 30 minutes before the show's, supposed to start. They already opened the doors. I'm like, oh my God. I run to the stage. And I'm like, okay, where could he be? I pull out my phone, and on tour, each artist had the tracking device on their phone in case they get lost or their phone gets lost. I need to know where they are, and yes, they do sign a little waiver and say, yes, I am allowing my manager to track me. They can turn the option on and off by themselves, so they can. Anyway, run out on stage. People are filtering in, a few thousand people, and I look, and I'm like, oh my God. There he is. So I jump off the stage like a mad woman. Seriously, I should have not done that. But anyway, I run to where he's sitting. People are gathering all around. I sit down. I said, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, I'm just trying to find the best view in the house. And I'm like, John, it's time to go backstage. This is why we have a paid meet and greet. We don't know who these people are. We need to make sure that you're safe. Bad things happen. I assume everyone's a good person, but you never know. This person is really well known, and people just love him because he's just so nice. He's too nice. I basically have to drag him up and basically just say, get backstage. You have to go on stage right now in 15, 20 minutes. But he's 12 years old. They run away. This mentality, artists literally run away all the time. They think, oh, I can go get a slice of pizza. And the less well-known one, sure, they can. But I used to tour with a very big artist, and he's like, I just want to go get a slice of pizza, please. And I said, you want me to go with you? Okay, he couldn't even do that. It was so sad that he couldn't even go out to a supermarket on his own. It's just sad, but remember, it's always good to surround yourself with really good people. But anyways, they are 12 years old, and I just love them so much. As someone who likes to be in control of how my artists are perceived, it's a daily challenge, as each day is completely different. I always tell people, remember to smile, never lose your temper, and face tough situations with a strategic mind. Remember, nothing is impossible, just less probable. Also, if something isn't going to matter in a month, a year, or even 5 years from now, don't stress so much about it, and don't worry about something before it actually happens. That's like worrying twice for no reason. And also remember to take a mental day for yourself every now and then. It's nice to have a day to relax every once in a while. Remember to compliment people behind their back. Be kind in a world where people need kindness. That's really the best advice I can give. So tune in for next week's episode, and we will talk about Instagram tips and tricks and how to do it in the music business. Thanks so much for listening to Blake the Manager, the podcast. I am Blake, and I'll see you next week.